next show that we're going to be talking about is, and this is actually a series that I find to be quite interesting. I'm not going to say it's the project that I'm most interested in, but it ranks high on the list, and that is The Acolyte. Jumping into the article here in Comic Book Resource, it says Leslie Headland, known for the Netflix original series Russian Doll, which is 2 thumbs up, will helm The
amazing.
Acolyte, a mystery thriller set in the High Republic's final days, exploring the sinister secrets of an emerging dark side power. The High Republic is also an upcoming publishing event. The blah 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 blah. Book. But yeah, you guys, the Acolyte. So within the Jedi, they have Padawans, and then within the Sith, the dark side, they have Acolytes. I think this is a really interesting viewpoint because we've never spent that much time delving into the stories of the dark side of the Force, of the evil nature of Star Wars, right? They always pop up as the bad guys to the heroes, but I think this is really interesting that we're going to see a series focused on kind of the dark side of the Force that takes place in the High Republic days, which, if you're not familiar with the High Republic era of Star Wars, that's like 200, 300 years before Phantom Menace. So before the prequel series, yeah. Before the prequel series, yeah. It's like 200 or 300 years before that. So kind of like in the big, like, this is when all the Force, the Jedi, the Sith were like raging full on hardcore, 2 sides, same coin. I think this sounds awesome. I'm very interested in this. Eric, how familiar are you with like the High Republic era? I mean, you probably, I would assume that they mention it or refer to it a little bit more in like Clone Wars and stuff like that. Did you ever read any of the extended universe stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I read a little bit of it. I think the the biggest immersion into that universe or that timeline was in their games. They had some really good Old Republic games, and they were actually multiplayer games. I think they really expanded a lot of that at that point, where instead of a point where you have a handful of Jedi and you've got a very small handful of Sith or villains, good versus bad. It's everywhere. Everyone's everyone, right? There's massive amounts of both. And I think you touched on the main point there, which is villainy and the dark side. Is it so evil? I think we have seen in moments where we get hints of hypothetical dark side moments in all these characters that have powers of sorts, force powers. And I think some were unintentional. I was rewatching the original 3 with my daughter and just kind of thinking about how Luke in right there when he's coming to Jabba's palace the first time, he strangles somebody. He uses a little bit of the force choke, which if you play the games, it's considered an evil power. So you have to question how the gray line is Luke. Is he teaching himself bad habits? We get the new trilogy that has some questioning of some of the characters. What power will they use, and what is good and evil? What is the dark side and the light side? And I think that was really the new trilogy across the board. So I think if we get to see some content as to what is the dark side and maybe put a little more humanity on it, we get to know that villainy is not as cut and dry as it used to be. Right. I mean, we watch Star Wars, the original 3. We have literally light versus dark. Acolyte here maybe is going to provide us the opportunity, but that it's all a gray area.
Well, you touch on an interesting thing, talking about Luke Skywalker and using like the Force choke as, we usually see like Force choking as like the evil kind of a thing, but like when whenever the hero does it, it's for a good purpose, right? I mean, the same kind of philosophy has popped up within Batman in the past few years, right? So, like in the Snyderverse, we see Batman brutally murdering people. Murder light. He's killing people, right? He's causing blunt force trauma. and everyone's up in arms about, well, Zack Snyder's portraying Batman as killing people. But guess what? Batman Returns, he strapped a bomb to a dude and shoved him down a manhole. Let him explode.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, there's classic comedians out there that have made great sketches about the fact of knocking a guy out and he's sleeping, but what's worse? I mean, I don't have a good answer here. Killing is never a good answer, but he kills a bad guy by blowing him up, or he drops him off a building and he has a broken neck and is paralyzed for the rest of his life. Like, Batman is not a good character
No.
as far as kindness. He doesn't tickle you to death.
Well, also, if you go back to the original origin of the character back in, 1939, I believe, is when Batman made his appearance. Right. He carried a gun.
Yeah.
He carried a gun, and he shot people. That was Batman.
You know, that's Batman. But also Batman's a vigilante. You know, we get people that are he's acting on what he thinks is justice, and I think Acolyte is a show that has the potential to show us that it's your internal drive is what makes you kind of go on the light or dark side.
Yeah. And
so that internal focus and potentially we get to see. Here's what I would love. I would really love to see them not make a choice that they give us a Padawan or
the Acolyte
intern, as it were, that is working their way up in the ranks of villainy, and they choose to go to the light side. I really hope they don't do that, because as much as I love and want to see us all have good morals and be good people, I would love to see our character become evil. And I'd love to see that growth happen in a very natural sense. We've seen moments, and if you watch Clone Wars, you'd know more about this. So we've seen more villainy, and it's not as cut and dry. But I hope the Acolyte will give us something that we don't have to call it villainy. We can call it just one other.
Well, I
side.
mean, we have a lot of shows now where we kind of take these questionable sides. I mean, Breaking Bad is probably one of the most classic examples of this, is that your hero of the story is the hardcore. He's like the worst of all the villains. And I love Vince Gilligan's description of it is seeing Mr. Chips become Scarface. It's so true. And also it yes, and the concept. It says yes to the concept, right? Instead of like, oh, well, this is what we're going to start with. Ben Kenobi. Oh, you're the big villain. And, oh, well, you need a redemption arc. So let's have you and Ray kiss. Great. Now you're redeemed.
Exactly.
Now you can have a happy death. Bye.
Bye.
Yes. It's such a betrayal to the concept. I would love to see that. Big question for you guys is, what do you think the Acolyte is going to bring? What do you think the story is going to be about? If you're more familiar with the extended universe and the days of the Old Republic or the High Republic, jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts as to where you think this particular show could and maybe should go. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. If you like this video, click like. If you really like this video, click subscribe. And if you really, really like this video, click share, because that is exactly what Scrooge McDuck would want you to do. DuckTales, woo!